Part 2 of I've been playing Haunted House since 1982.
As we walk back to the car, I began filling in the time with nervous small talk. So, do you have a shop or something? No, not really. I just fix old tech like this. Sort of bring old things back from the dead. Cool. Is there a reason you needed an Atari 2600 in an hour? What, does your life depend on it or something? I wrestled with the idea of telling him, but at this point, what did it hurt to tell a stranger you may be insane? They weren't going to see you again anyway. I've been seeing the world in pixelation. Hugh scoffed so loud I stopped talking. Haunted house, right? Yeah, how did you know? I get a few every once in a blue moon, he said as he stopped in the back of his nondescript white van that was bathed in the weak glow of a street light. He opened his van, and it was a museum of old consoles, dead and dying in various states of disrepair. There was a wall of TVs on one side, which put you in the mindset of a van the FBI would do stakeouts in, at least in movies. I was less interested in that now that he said he had actually heard of what was happening to me. Step on up to the plate, he said as he hopped into the back of his cramped van. You heard of something like this. What is it? How'd they get over it? I said urgently. Hugh Nuggs was calm, even calmer now than me by comparison. He took the Atari out of his bag and hooked it to the back of a TV. Yeah, I heard something about it years ago. Some guy had the same issue. I don't know what it was really. He was just obsessed with the Haunted House game and was coming undone. I never figured out what happened to him. Wasn't my business. He turned on the Atari, and just seeing it boot up put me at ease. Hey, Hugh said to me. Apparently I had zoned out for a moment and just gazed blankly at the screen because he had said so. That was odd. I never saw what I looked like when I played the game. I wasn't sure if that's what I always looked like when I played the game. I gladly zelled Hugh the money, but threw in another request while he was right there because I got the odd feeling I was going to need a witness. Or at least someone to drive my ass to the hospital if it all went to shit. I asked him to watch me play the game for a few minutes. I made it seem like I just wanted to test it, which was a plausible request. He agreed. As I started the game, I went into my Zen space. I collected scepters and fragments and ran them through Mr. Zachary Graves, the name of the theoretical man that died and haunted the house in question's house. I had to play it for 15 or 20 minutes, and I hadn't heard Hugh say anything to me. I stopped when I turned to Hugh. He was filming me with his iPhone. What the fuck, man? I said. Dude, you have been staring at the blank screen for 15 minutes. I didn't believe him at first, but he showed me the footage, and I was just staring out at nothing, looking at shapes and colors. Do you feel better? Hugh asked. Actually, sorta do. Well then have a nice day, Hugh said, all but shooing me from his car. When I first met Hugh, I had no clue I was gonna end up being the weirdo. I took the console home and played it all night. Honestly, I had memorized every variation of the game at this point, so for me, it was just comfort food. I filmed myself while I played just to see what happened. It broke me. I have never been so scared watching something that already happened in my life. I zoned out for a while, approximately 30 to 40 minutes. I hadn't even started playing the game, I was just looking at the television. At the 40-minute mark, I saw it. I can't explain it. The TV bowed out, the colors of the screen stretched, and the light lines shifted from fantasy to reality. They at first looked like screen flares, maybe a camera trick. I sat there, placid as lawn furniture, when 8-bit lines swirled around my being, grabbing at me like pixelated tendrils of light. This was when I started to actually play the game. I started the game as a white pixelated representation of a ghost reached his hand out for me. As I began to get into the game, the sprites that pushed out into reality receded back into the television. I did this for at least an hour, and I had absolutely no memory of this occurrence. I wanted to pick that haunted piece of shit and chuck it right the fuck out of my house, but I realized something. I was fine now. I wasn't seeing things. I wasn't losing my grip on reality. I wasn't digitalizing the world. It may have been fucked up, but it absolutely worked. The next day I dedicated to going to the neurologist and figuring out who this person was who had the same condition as I did. The doctors told me the absolute same shit, that I was fine, though I didn't quite tell them about what I saw on the video. I didn't want to mention something like that to a person who had the power to legitimately have me committed. I was going to have to get a witness to second any of this before I presented any of this shit as facts. I managed to get on Hugh Nuggs and ask him to go through his payment history so that I could get a name for this guy that had my same issue. After a bit of digging, all I could find was that he disappeared and was never found again. He lived an unremarkable life, though in hindsight, my life wasn't all that glamorous or exciting. He lived alone and poof, he disappeared without a trace. Seeing what I saw, I thought the worst, but all my theories were as outlandish as the situation was itself. My plan was to go to work and play the game while my partner Kevon was watching. I could trust him to be neutral, and we were work friends, seeing that we had friendly encounters, liked each other's presence, but didn't necessarily hang out outside of work. I first showed Kevon the video in the guard shack as I set up the game system. Kevon was in his 20s, so he had never seen the game or an Atari. He wasn't a gamer. "Damn, you did all them effects and shit?" Kevon asked me. "I know you're not gonna believe me, but that shit happened to me." Okay, yeah, that shit happened. I'm absolutely not kidding. What I want you to do is just witness it so I can tell if it happens again. Kevon shook his head and rolled his eyes, but then relented. "Fuck it, let's roll the dice."